What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Great weekend of boxing. You had the legends that put on scintillating performances, especially when you talk about Alexander Usyk. He was able to stop Daniel the Boss. Easy work, easy day at the office. Another day at the office, you want to say that. Alexander Usyk proved, in my opinion, that he's a top 10 heavyweight of all time. I'm going to come out with a video to rank my top 10 heavyweights, and that'll probably be coming out shortly, man. But this video is really about Manny Pacquiao, able to fend off for the time one more night when he was able to, in a lot of people's opinion, defeat WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios. Now, I wouldn't go so far and say this was a robbery, but more people than not thought Manny Pacquiao won the fight. I had it 115-113 for Barrios, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. Even though I predicted that Pacquiao was gonna win the fight by decision, I did think Barrios won the last 3 rounds and won the fight 7-5. I had Manny up 5-4 going into the 10th round, but I thought Barrios swept the last 3 rounds. That's the championship rounds, and I have no problem with him holding on to his WBC welterweight title. But I also said that he was going to give Mario Barrios a tough time. I did say that. A lot of people thought that Pacquiao was going to get destroyed, that Pacquiao, 46 years old, it's going to be a massacre, and the fight shouldn't take place. Pacquiao, at this point in time, has no business in the ring with a young lion like Mario Barrios. I heard everything going into this fight, but I told everybody that Mario Barrios is tailor-made for Pacquiao. Only thing that might prevent Pacquiao from winning the fight is for the time, but he was able to hold out for the time enough in enough spots in that fight, in a lot of people's opinion, to get the decision. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But all these people out here saying that the fight was fixed, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. You know, when that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pac-Tars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans. A lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all them people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather gonna win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age, and Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios, and that's what I base my pick on, that Mario Barrios is average. Some people that's Tank Davis fans, you know, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really, before the Tank fight, we talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Daliev. He lost that fight, and he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was the fight before the Tank fight. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was the fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only we ain't just looking at the height, but he was just a much bigger guy than Tank on fight night. I know a lot of people come out here Monday morning quarterback after the fact, you know, but they trying to go in on Tank saying that Mario Barrios had a rehydration clause like Ryan Garcia. I never remember that transpiring. I never heard nobody talking about it, nobody mentioned it. Mario Barrios said something to the effect, but all I'm saying is on fight night, Mario Barrios was much, much bigger than Tank Davis. And that's the reason why Tank Davis in the first half of that fight fought very, very cautious. And then when Mayweather got in his ear, so to speak, and said that you losing the fight, you need to turn up the pressure, he did, and he was able to stop Mario Barrios. So I take all that with a grain of salt. Mario Barrios is an average fighter at 147. After he lost to Tank Davis, he got another pay-per-view fight versus Keith Thurman, got beat decisively, showed a lot of heart, took a lot of punishment, looking like Herman Munster after that fight. He showed a lot of heart, man, but his talent level, which was probably B level before the Ahmad Daliev fight, but after the Ahmad Daliev fight, he's a C level fighter. And he was able to capture a world title when he beat a faded Ugas who had just got through taking a tremendous beating by Errol Spence Jr. So you take all this with a grain of salt. You got to look at when fighters fight certain fights, when they fight certain fighters. You know, that wasn't the same Ugas that Barrios fought that arguably beat Sean Porter, that defeated Manny Pacquiao, that beat a lot of other quality opponents at 147 pounds. That wasn't the same Ugas. That was the Ugas fresh off of tremendous, unmitigated beating by Errol the True Spence. With all that being said, Manny Pacquiao showed a lot of heart. He was probably tired after about 3 or 4 rounds, but he summoned and dug deep and was able to, behind a lot of his fans who chanted Manny, 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 maybe they was able to give him that second and third win that he needed. He was able to make it 12 rounds. And in a lot of people's eyes, they thought he should have got the victory. With all that being said, what's next for Manny Pacquiao? A lot of people speculating, well, they might do the Floyd Mayweather Jr. rematch. That fight could make a lot of money, do a lot of good business in Las Vegas. A lot of people speculating that maybe it could be Tank Davis, as Tank Davis is not happy with the money that he's been offered for the Lamont Roach rematch, despite the fact that he signed before the first fight and the terms were already set for the rematch if they was activated by Tank Davis. He's not happy with that. So he's out and about, not wanting to fight. You know, got out of training 3 weeks prior to his arrest. And so he's got a lot of stuff going on. His arrest for domestic assault battery charges from his ex-girlfriend and mother of his 2 children. So he's in a little bit of what they call a quagmire, for the lack of a better word, as far as he's got a lot of things going on outside of the ring, and he's not happy with what's being offered to get back in the ring. So we're not going to see Tank Davis for the foreseeable future, but that's a fight that's been maybe talked about for Manny Pacquiao's next fight. But from what I'm hearing, his advisor and manager, Sean Gibbons, who runs MP Promotions, that's Manny Pacquiao's promotional company, he came out and said that they're looking at Rolando Romero, the WBA welterweight champion, which will provide Pacquiao with another opportunity to become world champion in the welterweight division. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I think that's the likely opponent for Manny next, unless they can convince Floyd Mayweather Jr. to come out of retirement and take the fight. I think Mayweather is the fight really that Manny wants, but from what I'm hearing, Mayweather has no interest in fighting Pacquiao again. He's happily retired. You know, he maybe might want to do some exhibitions here and there over there in Asia, but outside of that, I don't think he's wants to come back and fight official, mandated, professional boxing match. I don't think Mayweather is keen on doing that at this point in time, or maybe ever. I think as he is retired as far as that go, and maybe you might see him back in the ring as far as exhibition fights against, fighters over there in Asia. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Very, very interesting weekend of boxing. A lot of people saying the fight was fixed, but what they fail to realize is, go back and watch that fight, man. Barrios wasn't letting his hands go because he was worried about what was coming back. One thing about Pacquiao, he don't have the same speed that he has. He was falling into a lot of his punches. He was getting caught with a lot of jabs, and he was getting in, but he wasn't getting out like he did when in his younger days. But he still had to pop on his punches, and that was the reason why Barrios wasn't letting his hands go. He felt the power early on, and that power will make fighters do a lot of things. Make them get on their bicycle, make them put their hands in their pockets, make them more defensively responsible, and make them much more cautious. That's what power does, and that's exactly what you've seen in the ring from Mario Barrios. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, as far as Alexander Usyk goes, what's next for him? Devastating performance, dominating performance by him over Daniel Dubois once again. From what I'm hearing, Turkey Ali Sheik, who's the big baller shot caller, the man with the bag, they call him turkey bags. He says if Toma beats Dillian White, Moses Toma beats Dillian White August 16th, that's the fight he would like to make next for Alexander Usyk. Now the WBO is going to quickly call for Usyk to take on its #1 contender, mandatory challenger Joseph Parker, the nicest guy in boxing. But it's not a lot of money in that fight. It's money in the fight, but it's much less money than a fight with a Utama, who's from the UK. They can make that fight once again over there in Wembley Stadium, and it'll be a fight that'll draw 90,000 fans, just like the Dubois fight draw 90,000 fans, just like the Joshua fight when he took on Usyk the first time drew 90,000 fans. So that's a big business over there in Wembley Stadium. It do a much better business than a Joseph Parker, who's from New Zealand. So I think that's the fight that Turkey wants to make next, but the WBA is going to quickly call the mandatory challenger Joseph Parker to take on Usyk next, and he is first in line for two #1 contenders that are in line to take on Alexander Usyk. Because in IBF, Derek Chisora is in line to take on Alexander Usyk. He could also fight Chisora, but I don't think that fight's going to happen. That fight would be big over there in the UK too. That's another stadium fight. But Chisora would be such a massive underdog. A lot of people, wouldn't be too excited for that fight. He'd just be a massive underdog. He probably got more heart, more dog than Daniel Dubois, but he would be a way more decided underdog than a Daniel Dubois, who has shown on 3 different occasions that he would wave the white flag, and he did that this past Saturday versus Alexander Usyk. With all that being said, we'll see what happens, man. But if Utama gets through Dillian White, they're going to put the bag out there for Usyk to take on Utama. That's what Turkey's going to do. That's the fight he wants. And if that's the case, then Usyk got to make a decision. Will he be willing to drop the WBO belt and fight a bigger money fight, or will he say, nah, I want to still stay undisputed and take on Joseph Parker, which would probably be easy. I say probably be a more tougher fight mentally, because Parker got more tools in the toolbox than a young Moses. Moses is just more younger, more fresher, more dynamic. Probably much more athletic than a Joseph Parker. So he'll present just a different challenge as far as the pace of the fight. He'll be able to probably keep up with the pace of a Usyk. A lot of these bigger heavyweights can't keep up with the pace of Alexander Usyk. Moses Utama, being 21 years old, can fight at that pace. It maybe wear down an older Usyk. So I think both fights present different challenges, but the bigger money fight is definitely Moses Utama, who's from the UK. They can put that fight over there again in the UK in one of those big stadiums, preferably Wembley Stadium. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe, and let me know in the comment section what you think Pacquiao should do. Should he retire? Should he fight the Barrios rematch, which I don't see happening? Or should he take on Tank, who I think, in my opinion, is out of commission for a while? I don't see him fighting this year, but you never know. Maybe he might come back. But who you think that Manny Pacquiao should fight next? Barrios, Tank, Rolly, or Mayweather Jr. rematch? I think the likely fight next, in my opinion, again, as I stated earlier, will be Rolando Rolly Romero. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who you think Manny should fight next? And who you think Alexander Usyk, who's the undisputed heavyweight champion, top 3 pound-for-pound fighter in boxing, who you think he should fight next? Should it be Utama? Should it be Joseph Parker? Should it be Derek Chisora? Should it be Tyson Fury rematch? He's got a lot of options. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But the 2 options that you put on the money side is Moses and Fury. Those are obviously bigger money fights. But the 2 other fights are fights that are important, because those are guys that have earned their chance at the titles in their respective organization. That being Derek Chisora, who's #1 in the IBF, and Joseph Parker, who's #1 in the WBO. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Again, follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Follow me on TikTok at JB Sports New Media. Follow me on Twitch at Briscoe MA77071. Follow me on my YouTube channels at JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend, 96 56, and at JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, 8,000. And like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I holla.